Hey everyone, Scott here to discuss The Transporter Refueled, starring Ed Skrein, Ray Stevenson, Lone Chabano, I don't know if I'm saying that right, please forgive me, and Gabriella Wright, and directed by Camille Delamare. Now, I remember going to movie theaters in IMAX for this thing. It wasn't worth it. I'm not gonna lie to you. It really wasn't worth going to IMAX for this movie. But what do I think of the movie? Let's get into it. In French Riviera, in the year 1995, a robbery with Anna. We begin with a robbery with Anna, played by Lone Chabanal. I don't know if I'm saying that right. As a part of the plan, and becomes some sort of prostitute, which I didn't get why. Honestly, 15 years later, Anna calls a transporter, and we move on to Frank Martin Jr., played this time by Ed Skrein, stopping some robbers and showing them off who's going to steal the car and beats them up. And Ed Skrein doesn't have the charisma and the skills of Jason Statham, despite he was in the first Deadpool movie. My problem is he's not that good of an actor, despite I liked him in Deadpool and Midway. He's not that good of an actor. I'm sorry, I'm not gonna lie. He picks up his father, Frank Martin Sr., played by Ray Stevenson, who I know quite well from Punisher Warzone, despite he was in Thor. But he's better known as the Punisher, but he's playing the same character here as sort of. No, he's playing it more comedic than the Punisher, I must say. And I'm not connecting with this opener. And this is in the movie I remember from the Jason Statham years anymore, and it's souring in my mouth. Frank gets a call from a mysterious voice who wants to transport her and her business partners to stop the movie's bad guy named Arkady Karasov, who is Russian, which explains the name. And Frank meets Anna at a restaurant where she gives Frank an assignment, and Frank Sr. gets kidnapped by a woman who is never identified. Meanwhile, Frank does get the job for Anna, does the job for Anna, and meets Gina, played by Gabriella Wright, and a couple of others, I'll say. And they get in a car chase, and this is very unspectacular. A very unspectacular chase sequence, and I gotta say, this plot makes no freaking sense. And this editing is almost like a Michael freaking Bay style of editing. It's very obnoxious, as this is very poorly directed. The girls take Frank and to his father, and they make a new deal with Frank. And if he accepts, the father lives. If not, the father dies. And the poison from the vodka he drank, which makes absolutely no frickin' sense, as he takes Anna to the hospital to grab the antidote. Meanwhile, Frank Sr. flirts with the one that stayed with him, and the same one who captured him. And I'm seriously am getting annoyed and very bored out of my damn mind. And the girls go into a full moon club and make out and go to get a bag, while Frank fights with three men for the key to get out of a room, where Frank puts down a knocked out Guyana. I don't know what the hell that means. Beats their asses through the drawer scene and knocks them out. And Frank gets the girls and beats them up. No, not beats up the girls, but beats up the club guards, while the car moves in a slow pace, which is a bad choice and idea. Then we get Frank Sr. pretending to be the pilot of Yuri's airplane, and Frank Sr.'s girlfriend drugs Yuri's drink and knocks everyone else in the plane except Yuri's bodyguard. And Frank Sr. and his girlfriend are trapped until Frank Jr. gets to the rescue on time and gets Frank Sr. and his girlfriend out of there and drive through the airport, which is something you really should not try at home, folks. And as they arrive to the girls' secret hideout, and Anna tells Frank Jr. there is no antidote and it was just water they put in his beer, which was stupid and very convenient, and it doesn't make any sense. Frank lets Anna and the girls do a job on their own, while Frank Jr. takes Frank Sr. home, and Jr. tells Sr. to move to Paris, France, and drops off Sr. and gets captured by Arkady. And Frank wants to get his father back and gets Anna and the girls without Gina in the picture to Arcadie's boat and gets Frank's father out of there. And there's a Mexican standoff in the boat as Gina arrives and hacks Arcadie's bank account. And a shot goes in a couple of the girls, and Frank Jr. fights off the bad guys in a pretty boring action sequence as Gina gets shot and dies, and the other two are dead, and Anna is the only one left alive, and Arcadie, while Frank Jr. goes after them and meets up with Arcadie and fights him on a cliff at the ocean. And the next thing you know, Anna shoots Arcadie and points a gun at Frank, and as he convinces her not to shoot him, and she doesn't shoot him, and the two Franks get out of custody by the cops. And 1 month later, Anna gives her debt to everyone, and the climax was bad, and I'm very disappointed in this movie as well as the series. Now it's time for the rating. I'll give this movie a 2.1 out of 10. I was absolutely bored with this one as it makes no sense. Ed Skrein is no Jason Statham, not by a long shot. The movie was boring, convenient, and annoyed the living hell out of me as it bored me half to death, and I'm very disappointed in this series as there's one good movie out of this series, and that's the first one. I'm also disappointed on how this one turned out, which is why I never went back to see this one again after theaters. So I'd like to thank you guys for joining me for the Transporter series, and until next time, I'm listening.